now tuned into the art of MV. Welcome to my channel and thanks for watching my video. So one of the biggest knocks on the MV is the speed. And other than the age, there's a couple of reasons for this. One of the reasons being people don't really understand the makeup and how the machine is set to work. So in order to do that, you got to read the manual for one, and you'll understand the signal flow and how it handles everything. But I'm gonna give you a simplified version of how I work inside the MV to avoid the speed traps. All right, so let's get it right. The first thing I want you to pay attention to is your project. So I'm gonna act like I'm gonna load a project here, and what you're looking at is all the projects you have. Let's go down one. That project has 502 megabytes of RAM already covered. This is a problem if you want to import sounds. Now, lucky for me, I've already imported all the sounds I want. Everything in this project is probably already been mixed and probably already been sent. Tracks have already been sent to the mix and master stage. This is a full project that all probably has the same kind of vibe because the sounds in there all kind of match up from song to song and from sequence to sequence, right? But if I wanted to work in this project, it's going to move faster than this one, or this one, or this one. All those projects that have more than 400 megs of RAM already taken up that are in your folder are going to work slow. Huge WAV files and patches, internal synth patches like pads that take a lot of space, they're going to load up slower, man. And the whole thing's going to run a little slower for you because you're using all the RAM. Now, for you guys that don't have the 512s of RAM, I feel your pain because I could see how several of my projects wouldn't be possible with the 16 songs the way I do it. But there's a workaround for all that, and I'm going to show you that. So just be aware of the project that you're in, and that's going to dictate one of the aspects of how fast you can do things in there, right? So we're going to exit that out, right? The next thing I want you to pay attention to is the resolution that you choose, because that's going to matter. Mine's at 120. Because if you're doing certain types of music, you don't need 480 steps available to you. If you're using hip hop, you want it on a tightly or locked grid because that's just what we're used to. Let's just put it out there. We're used to more tightly locked grids. But somebody who's playing a lot of live instruments, and you might want the full DAW resolution, especially if what you're sequencing is not just a song, but an album, right? That's a whole nother discussion. But be aware of the resolution and how you got that set up. The next thing I want you to do is I'm going to have you to, once you know how many audio tracks you're going to use. Right now I only have 4 set up because I only really have 4 sounds coming down here in the and from my module. So I only had 4 audio tracks set up, right? Right below your audio tracks, go ahead and hit sequence, hit add pattern track, and add that pattern track. Now, I'm not sure on the 8800 how this looks because you guys have a patterned button right on the thing, on the panel. Us MV-8800 users, we don't have that. We have to go up until this upper right hand corner over here and hit pattern, and then it changes into pattern track for us. So we can just do the other thing and just add a pattern track to linear mode, and you can still work in a pattern mode within the linear environment. Now, the next thing you're going to want to do is to slide down here and make 1 or 2 particular tracks. As you can see, it's named MIDI trap, right? Now, that's another thing I need to mention. You need to make sure you have these kind of things named so you know where to put where. When you see these MIDI notes, you know what it was on, what patch it was on, and you need to know all the information possible, which is cool because in sequence edit you can do all this. So right here you see it says MIDI trap. That's because on this particular track I usually have the quantize off and I'm set it up to use the shift roll function to use different trap elements in the song. Now, I don't usually do a lot of trap, but some of the ratchets, some of the elements you definitely want to have access to, and the easiest way to have access to those is to set up a track or two where you have those elements ready to roll. The next thing I want you to pay attention to is the tempo of your track. What I did here, I'm going to show on the sequence mode, I'm going to turn this metronome on so to demonstrate. So what I initially did was I had this in 1/80/42. Now, we may differ on this, but I tend to work better when the track is moving faster. This track is fine at 80.42. Right? Moves fine. It moves fine. But I tend to be able to put more on the grid. So I'm going to go down to the trap track. I'm going to just lay a little bit of hi-hats. Not trap hi-hats. That's for another thing. This is just for demonstration. So, okay, here we go. All right. So, why this is important. With the pattern tracks, I can easily mute everything else. I'm gonna mute everything else. All right, so now that's a part, right? So no matter what I did, everything is muted from there on to 17. So what I'm gonna do, now this would include if you had ratchets. I don't have ratchets, but keep this in mind. This is not a trap beat, but keep this in mind for when you want to make trap hi-hats. Drag and copy everything up until, first I'm going to copy the first 8 bars. I'm going to hit that. Copy as new pattern. Pattern 5. Uh-oh. Now in pattern mode, I got that on 5. Just that. So now what we have here are these patterns that we can just, there's an 8 bar of just that, then there's a 16 bar verse of it with a little bit of variance, right? Then there's some with a hi-hat in it, just still different stuff, right? Then there's just the hi-hat patterns, right? And this was going to have the little other part at the end. So if I were to do trap hi-hats or any kind of hi-hats, now they're patterns. So I never have to, as long as I'm in this project and making it with this song, I never really have to worry about going to find those trap hi-hats. I'll have a whole bunch of patterns already ready for it. So, and look how many patterns you can save. So you can stay within this project and just dip into pattern mode, grab a clip and bring it into the current song and never really have to worry about that again because you've recorded it like that as a pattern. Now I can go out of pattern mode, unhighlight everything, go back to the beginning of the song, unmute everything. All right, nothing's on mute. On that pattern track, I would just, and this is just an example, I'll just hit shift, record, and start laying patterns from here. They're already assigned to a certain pad, so I want that one right there, that one right there, 5 right there, that one right there, 6 right there, that one right there. And then I will solo the pattern track out. Go back here. So now you see that no matter what you have muted on that mixer board, that you can see where you don't see any mutes are down. I just got the pattern track soloed, so it's playing just the pattern clips that I just step recorded, right? This one concept is such an MV thing. Flexible workflows, every last one of them, which there's only 4, so it's not a whole lot, but every last one of them have these really flexible workflows. And once you set up those patterns, man, you're good. You can pull from those patterns to create your song the exact same way we're going to pull from clip mode in the MV-1. So, just like the pattern track installed on the MV is down here now, and each pattern that I made for the pattern list is held in each section. In each section, there are clips that I've altered to make each section sound a little bit different, like these. Or these. So now that I've created about 5 or 6 sections with that little phrase, I'll start to copy the individual sections and duplicate them all over so that I can make some effects changes. Now, I got all these duplicated. 1, 2, 3. 1 is 9. No, 1 is 9. 2. And they also carried over the colors, so I kind of know. Yeah. 12 different sections copied. Now I can actually go in each section. I can decide to go to sequence. So, using the TR style step sequencer to arrange your sections into songs as well as your clips into sequences translate very well if you've been using the step recorder on the MV-8800 to trigger measures, phrases, and notes in pattern play or in a pattern track or in pattern mode on those units. The only thing and the only limitation that I can see that stands out coming from the MV-8000 to the MV-1 Verselab is the limited amount of measures that you can make your loops on here. Whereas in the linear mode, you can make a 81 bar loop if you want to. And this is possible in linear mode. Next time on my video, I will be importing that classic 8000 sounds into my MV-1 Verselab and them beats via the feature that I showed you before right here. So you can see in the settings, the MV is chosen as the interface now. And I have via USB, all these audio ins and these 4 audio outs on this side. Now I also have a little bit expanded MIDI capability as long as this MV-1 is hooked up via to your computer in the generic mode. This would be in your preferences menu if I wasn't using Zenbeats and I was using another app. And I'm out.